hey. But I know that was a very big, deep sigh, but I'm actually happy. Welcome to my channel. Um, First of all, let me say a big thank you for clicking on this video. Uh, this is the Sumba Listens channel, and I am Sam Sumba. And I love this thing. I love music. I love listening to music and reading up on everything associated with, this hobby. And I only recently got into it very seriously this year, with acquisitions of IEMs and tiny DAC amps like this. And I just wanted to spend this time on this channel sharing my experiences, my very honest experiences. Um, they'll mainly be based off of like long-term lessons. I also know that I won't be able to review many pieces of gear because I'm not fortunate enough to have that much money. I'm a student from Kenya, so you guys know how tough it is. But thank you so much for passing by. Um, I want people to spend more money on music and not other like crazy things. I know in Kenya you have a crazy, party culture. I would rather spend, in this case with the BU2, those $300 on the BU2 as opposed to a night out um, on drinks for some girl you're trying to impress that will end up sleeping with your best friend. So, guys, you're not, you know. So yeah, now $300 is a lot. Um, and spoiler alert, I wouldn't necessarily spend that $300 on this particular piece of equipment, but we'll get into this. So, thank you. Now, what is this? This is the Aune BU2. Apologies for any issues with the focus. I'm recording this on my iPhone. This is a portable Bluetooth and USB headphone amp and DAC. It's nifty, and if you don't mind, let me just go through its specs really quickly. It's a pretty beefy piece of equipment, and it's one of those things where people write far too many things on it. If you read the Hi-Fi Go website, it is... Ugh. Anyway, they claim it has master tape level decoding for Bluetooth, which we'll get into that. It's a high resolution 32-bit 768 PCM with DSD support up to 512. It has newer ES9318 DAC chips. It has 4 independent headphone amplifiers, which, sure. It has these very special clocks. It has this knob for volume. They claim it has reference grade tuning with natural sound, which we will debunk. USB Type-C interface. It has a balanced 2.5. I don't know if you'll be able to get a glimpse of that. And 3.5. And Bluetooth support, as I mentioned earlier. Now, I have had this for 2 months now. I got it off of Hi-Fi Go. It took quite some time to get here, but it did eventually. And it's a bit of a mixed bag. But first, let me talk you through power. This claims out of the 2.5 balanced, which is this guy over here, to push out 265 milliwatts at 32 ohms. Now, big caveat to this review, I did not use balanced. I have the Tin P1 and the Blessing. Both of them are not balanced, and I know the benefits of balance, but I didn't care. Yeah, so this review has nothing to do with this side. and it claims to have 100 milliwatts out of 32 ohms from this guy, which is more than adequate for your IEMs. A very funny story with the P1, but we'll get to that. It supports AAC. This is the where it comes into value, but it supports SPC, AAC, aptX, and aptX HD. That's it. No LDAC, no, I think it's HWA, nothing, no aptX L, low latency, and just those ones. And I guess those are good enough. If you're an Android user, I guess you kind of miss out on the other fancier codecs. But for us Apple guys, I have my Air 2018. That's what I use to connect via USB, and I have an iPhone 11. So AAC is my life. I'll never ever get high-res Bluetooth, and high-res Bluetooth, guys, is kind of not a thing. But we'll get into that later. This I'll go into this section, things that I like and dislike. Let me try boot it up actually as we get into that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get into the general functioning of this thing in a little bit. What are the things I like? I don't necessarily like the sound, but I appreciate it. It is special. It is unique. We'll get into the sound section of this video a little bit later, but I will say that it sounds good. The Bluetooth connectivity is very quick, extremely quick at reconnecting two devices. And in my instance, in my situation, sometimes the Bluetooth on my phone will be off, and I turn on BU2 and it would turn on the Bluetooth on my phone, and I'd listen. I don't know how that happens, but that's what happens. You can go further into reading like the specific like Bluetooth chip, or you can go on the HiFiGo website or whichever website you prefer to read up on that. Battery life is amazing. If I'm not wrong, it claims 9 hours, which is more than enough. And I would say it excels because it has a really good standby battery. I went to upcountry, I think last week for like 4 days, and I didn't carry the USB-C charger for this thing, but I charged it full the night before the travel. I was there for 3 days, and I came back, and I think I still had 2 bars to go. And every day I was listening for an average of 2 hours. So doing pretty good there. I like the screen, maybe. I appreciate that it tells me stuff. I also appreciate that it dances for me a little bit. And sometimes tells me very worrying things, which we'll get to very shortly. But the fact that I don't know if you can see that, click and get volume, USB or Bluetooth. This is your filter mode, which we'll get into, and this is your battery life, your battery indicator. And apologies for poor focus, but yeah. So that is this device. Those are the things that I like. Things that I don't like, and there are more. This is your volume control, and as you saw me, this is bad. It's so annoying. I thought when I got this thing that it would be a lot bigger than it is, so that I can put it on the side like this. Like, let's say my laptop would be here, it's connected via Bluetooth out, and I can just this gap would be big enough for me to put my finger in and move up and down, but I can't. As you can see, I'm not increasing the volume. I can't do anything. And this I have very Kenyans. My fellow Kenyans, you know what a mwiko is? It's like a tiny thing for mixing vegetables. I have very slender, skinny fingers, so I can kind of do it. But I know, you Americans, the Americans that would be watching this, I'm so sorry. Just no. Um, the filters. Let me tell you a funny story about the filters. The filters did not exist with this device. Like, in terms of like us knowing what they were. I remember the email for this product came out, I believe it was in September. The product went up on Hi-Fi Go maybe the beginning of October, maybe earlier. And on the website, there were no, and for a solid month, because I was eyeing this product on that website for long, for a solid month, we genuinely did not know what any of these things mean. SL, SC, SU, SD, SE, SI. Literally, for those people who own this device, you are guessing. Luckily, by the time I bought it, when it was being shipped out to me, I think Hi-Fi Go updated the website and put the filters, the letters. But prior to that, it was a guessing game. It was whack. The filters themselves are absolutely useless. Filters are useless most of the time, but I put this in the bad category because they are not good. The only filter you should use is the default filter, which is, I believe, appetizing. Let me read it up on here. SL was the appetizing. Give me a second. Appetizing fast roll off. So that's SL. The other filter that I kind of felt was like usable was the minimum phase slow roll off, but it is so bad. It is so muddy. It's just everything sounds like it has. Everything sounds so unclear on the minimum phase slow roll off. It just sounds just no detail, or you can hear detail, but it's muffled almost. It's just bad. So guys, just leave it on SL. Don't use anything else. Trust me. Everything else sounds a bit too much, but again, we'll get into sound shortly. This thing is a bit flimsy. It's well built. It's all metal. Look at the screws at the back. It looks really good. And I remember seeing this thing in my, the Hi-Fi Go newsletter. I said, this thing is sexy. It is absolutely beautiful. But it is stupid. I feel like if I bash it against the wall, it'll die. I feel like if I press up against the screen too much, it'll break. And how I used it was this way. I attached a lanyard. This doesn't come with the device, and you need to ship this device with this, because just holding it like this is bad. A lanyard that you can put in between this hole and you can then put across your wrist is so much better. And that's how I was using it. And I would put the stupid cock rings as protection on it, just in case it was lying on, like, we have granite tops. I didn't like how it felt on the granite tops. So that's how I'd use it predominantly. More things I do not like. Once in a while, it's not particularly cold here in Kenya. We have it pretty nice. I know you guys suffer out there. This thing, if I left it out on my desk on a cold day, I would come back and underneath the cock rings, there'd be, I guess, some form of condensation, and there'd just be water. And I don't think that's good. So be careful where you put this. Be very careful. I don't know about you guys in hotter climate, or colder climate, but that's my situation in a very average Kenya. We're more, tropical, so be careful with that. The final problem with this thing, my unit specifically, is that it's broken. It every so often, right now it's cooperating, but every so often it would give me an alert. And I talked with a technical representative from Aune, and she straight up said, yeah, there's an issue with the software of your system. You need to send it back in for us to fix it. So I'm sending this back in, like, when I get back from, the Christmas holiday. Yeah. So it's brand new, $300, and I need to send it back to China to get fixed and maybe get a new one or whatever they'll decide will happen, but it's broken. So that's a problem. Apologies. Let me pause. Hey, apologies. 2 more dislikes. You think you've got everything down and then you don't. 1, Bluetooth range. Bluetooth connectivity is good. Bluetooth range, piss poor. Sometimes you can have the device in one pocket and your phone in your other pocket, and they'll be stuttering and cutting out, which isn't ideal. And lastly, this has to do with things in the box. They are mainly this. Now, in the box, we have this lightning to, it's a very generic lightning to USB-C. Yeah. It's very average, very flimsy. Just go and get something from DD Hi-Fi. This is an adapter. 2.5. 2.5 to 4.4. Okay. What is the point of this? Really? No, please. No, Aune. Yeah? There's no need for this. Just put a lanyard. Please. Anyway, back to the video. Now, let us move on to sound. And this is very subjective. I want to state what it was I was using to listen to it and what I am comparing it to. I have here Tin P1, Power Hungry QT, it's sweet. And these new guys, I've had these for now 2 weeks. Blessing to dusk. Very different. Planar, hybrid, power hungry, very, like, literally if I blow on this thing, it can probably sing. So those were my IEMs. I only use IEMs. These are the only 2 I have, along with the Blonde BL01, which I haven't used for a while. And this guy. This is what I am comparing it to. This is the Ear Studio Radstone Hard 100. This has an AK, I believe it's a 4370 or 77. So it's one of the older AK chips. But this guy has a very special place in my heart, but I'll tell you about that later. I use this predominantly on Bluetooth and once in a while on, I'll say, 70-30 Bluetooth to USB usage. Let me go into it and the sound properties and my experiences with tracks. The first track is actually an Apple Music special. And that's another thing. I listen to all my tracks, all my music on Apple Music, lossless. But lossless is a thing with Bluetooth anyway. The first track is, let's start with electronic. Paul's Institute. The Paul's Institute is a group of musicians. It's an organization started by the Paul brothers, Jai and AK, and it's very fun, fast, ethereal, almost 80s voodoo music. Some of the artists on there, Fabiana Palladino, Ruth Venn, absolutely beautiful. And everything on that Apple Music special, it was like a radio show. From the refrains to the Apple Music introduction to the lady, they almost felt like commercials or breaks. Everything sounded so spacious and in the right place. It is like this device selects them, picks them apart, and just dangles them there for you, and it will not forget where this thing is. You will not be unclear on where this specific part of music is. It's very resolving. However, in that, it does not have any sense of engagement and body to the tunes, which is why I come to the track that I feel made me come about my decision on this device, and it's the name of the track that this video is named after. And I do so that the track can get traffic, and also so that you guys can know what it was that made me go, aha. Chrome Sparks, Oh My Perfection. This is a beautiful electronic, electropop almost track by Chrome Sparks, the most underrated electronic artist, I genuinely believe, of the 10s. The track Oh My Perfection is a very beautiful, I won't call it a ballad, but it has so much fun to it. A lot of glistening, synths and sparkles all over the place. And Chrome Spark tracks have a very bouncy, like 80s inspired 808 behind it, and a kick and snares. And I've heard that track many times. I've heard it on cheap, not necessarily cheap, but I've heard it on Bluetooth earbuds, Master and Dynamic MW7 Go. I've heard it on this, my reference, my standard. I've heard it even on my Apple, jack straight. Everywhere else, that track made me move. It made me feel like, yes, I am in this video doing what he's doing, moving like a madman. And I would. With this, I ended up realizing I was looking for that happiness. I kept going, oh, I'm waiting for, the chorus to drop and, for the words, oh, my perfection, to give me some sort of emotion. And I spent the whole track waiting for those things. So dynamically, it's not that dynamic. It's not that warm. It's very bright, very analytical, very resolving, but it isn't fun. So for electronic, it's kind of hit or miss. If I was to give it a grade when it comes to dealing with electronic tracks, I would give it very much a B-. It's not that like bass is missing, it's actually there, but it's so precise and exacting, it almost feels unfair. But not in a good way. So let's go to the next genre, rap. Everyone knows rap is all to do with fast hi-hats, snares, kicks, very, very punchy kicks, and just like electronic, the 808s. 2 tracks. The first one, I genuinely believe this album, I know you guys are talking about Drake versus Kanye, I genuinely believe this went under the radar, and coming from me, people will be surprised. But Trippie Redd, Supercell, I forget the name of the entire album. Maybe I'll just pull it up here on my laptop. But that song is it bad for me to say a Trippie Redd song is beautiful? It's the first like proper rap album to have synths that are so aggressive and unrefined that it almost feels very refined. Like it feels it's intentional how they came about this, when I know it's not the case. It feels like lightning in a bottle. A perfect track. The synths and the very crunchy 808 and kick drum in this track are so addicting, and this fails miserably. It does well with the synths. It gives them a lot of definition. It gives them a lot of crunch, a lot of sharpness to it, but it sucks. It does not make me go, yes, bass is being accentuated and I am enjoying this track. And the aspect of it being musical, big, big miss. Big miss. I'm so sad I can't. But you guys know Trippie Red. Go look him up. Second track, JPEG Mafia, Real Nigga. This track starts off with him with a vocal effect. He does this thing where he drags out his mouth. It's very raspy, and it's so special. The raspiness of his voice and his tongue and the tone going up at the beginning of the track. Please listen to it. It's an experience that is so jarring, and you'll realize, oh, whoa, music is it's the thing. This thing renders that mouth effect very well. But when it comes to the heavy percussive bits, a couple minutes, seconds after that, mouth effect, vocal effect rather, instruments are placed, as I said earlier, are placed in the right places. Every drum hit, percussive hit, you know where it is, but it just doesn't have a life to it. It's not warm. It's not inviting. Every time something is hit, doom, doom. Every time 808 is hit, you're not feeling it in your gut. Compared to this little guy, both tracks not only shine, not only have that punch, not only are they well separated, maybe not as much as this, and this is not as resolving as this, but this guy makes me dance and this guy doesn't. I end up wanting or going, I end up missing my music. I go, didn't I feel like this when Peggy made that mouth effect? Did I not feel that way? Did I not feel like the whole dancey vibe when Trippie was talking about, Goku, and it kind of made me feel a bit sad. So that's rap. If I was to give it a grade with rap, C+. A lot of it is very much hinged on 808s, thuds, brightness, sharpness, and space, and it kind of does it, kind of doesn't, hence the grade. On to the genre I think you should avoid with this thing entirely. Rock, hard metal. If that is your library, stay away from this guy. Stay away from this guy. P1 is bright, yeah, but it can have some warmth to it. Blessing to Dusk is bassy, and I was even surprised how bassy it is. On both of these things, rock, hard metal is insufferable. Let me start off with the tracks I, Dogma, and Rip and Tear from the Doom OST. In I, Dogma, the demon has a very powerful, very intimidating voice, and the words that follow kind of grip you. In this, he almost sounded like a teddy bear, and an annoying teddy bear with a very high-pitched voice. Something about the brightness took away from the experience of the announcer's voice, excuse me. And on Blessing, because it's bassy, you're thinking, oh, maybe towards the end, as we enter Rip and Tear, it'll come back. And I know the hard metal thuds and bangs and the electric guitars will come in and the fucking, shave my face. And it misses so hard because there is no warmth to this device. There is some, but it's like it's sparing. It's like it's being rationed. It's like maybe another day. And that was my experience with at least those tracks. A track that this thing kind of showed its strengths is on Chelsea Wolves, His Spun. I love my goth queen, but the way that track is laid out is everything is in its position. As I told you, this thing does very well. Space, layering, depth, nah, a bit whack, but horizontal layering is spectacular. Left to right, brilliant. And in that track, there's an instrument on the top right. There's some grumbling at the bottom right. There'll be an electric guitar and a kick drum on the top left. All of those things are placed so well. But when they're doing their thing, they're kind of like just there, not standing out, not being amazing, not being, and then Chelsea's voice comes in and it's so sweet amongst all of this extreme drabness, for lack of a better word. And she's kind of like saving the track, but you're kind of already at a loss because you're hinging on Chelsea's voice to kind of make you gain some enjoyment. And it's painful. I'll move onto the grade with metal rock. This is just a straight up C minus, man. It's maybe a C. It's no C minus. C minus going D plus. It's okay. It's not okay. That's the problem. It's not okay, and it should be because it costs $300. It's just unfortunate. It's not an all-rounder, and anyway, I'll get to my assessment later. Pop, I will stick very close. I'll refer to artists very close to home. Pombe Sikara, those Kenyans. You're going to say yes, I sounded very white when I said it. Fuck off. Pombe Sigara by Nviri. This thing, because it's very resolving, like on all of my other setups, even this guy to a certain extent, at the beginning of the track, I know there is a sound on the left that sounds like a violin. With this, I know it's a violin. The beautiful tropical, key, like, what do I call them? Keystrokes. But it has this very tropical vibe to it. It does that kind of okay, but again, because there's no warmth, you don't feel anything. It's just like the song is playing. And when he comes to the chorus and he says Pombe Sigara, and there's a very beautiful guitar strum behind it, it has no weight. It has no depth. It has no engagement. It's just a guitar strum and you go, okay, there was the guitar strum. That's it. Onto more female vocally. Sorry, by Mudaka, off of her Sunshine EP. Her voice is genuinely special. And yes, my missus will hate that I would call another woman's voice special, but it is unbelievable. This thing really does her a big disservice. She has such a beautiful tone and control. It's very Nairobian. It's very poppy. It's very maybe I'll call it common as far as like female vocals are concerned, but it is very lush. And because this is a device that lacks lushness, if that is a word. It's just a bit of just like I'm listening to Mudhaka. That's it. And the most disappointing part, and I remember listening to this earlier today, just to remind myself so that I can feel angry, was in the middle of the track, there's a small build up. I believe it is both of with a piano and a guitar and her voice. And all of that made me feel nothing. And I actually just told this thing to fuck off. I made faces at it that didn't make me feel happy. So yeah, it's all like not positive things. But at least when it comes to pop, you can gain some form of engagement. Some. It still gets a C in that specific regard, but yeah, vocals can be dead center, but so in your face and so aggressive, and because it is so bright, it almost feels the shine is maybe not honky, but I just like don't want to look at the shine for too long. I remember getting headaches listening to this thing. And so when I come to this guy, HUD 100, with that AK chip, with these three clicks, sound profiles that I can change from, I always left it on bypass. I'll talk about this device in another video. Like, I just listen to this for hours. I'm just listening to music, and then once in a while it gets me going. I never dare to ever put it on its bass mode. Otherwise, it's like, it's relax. But the fact that it can make me feel something on its very basic setting, make me go, I'm enjoying how kind of like muted and serene this is. And then go bass head, very high, bright, crazy treble head. Like, it's amazing. This has like 7 filters that all 7? Are these 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 7. Has 7 filters that are all very average. One of them is kind of acceptable. The other is just poo poo. So yeah, I think, I don't know how this is, but it's very much the case of, listen, the more you go, not necessarily the better you get. And it's a principle that my father, and I think many of our fathers have told us, fathers or mothers, which brings us to the idea of value. This isn't value, unfortunately. Despite me having an iPhone and like knowing that AAC is the only thing I'll ever use, I would very much rather have spent this $300 into getting either a dedicated like DAC amp, or would have saved like $100, gone and get the other boys that are out there, Go Blue, Shanling, Up 4 or Up 5. I believe Up 4 is like $78. For the sake of portability, the Qdelics, the BTR5, all of those guys, because I know they all sound the same, and there's no betterment I will get because of AAC. I guess I got some difference in sound, and implementation of the ES DACs. But this isn't it. And it pains me because I'm a student, I don't have that much money to spend, and I'm kind of stuck with this thing. I am sending it to China, but I'm stuck with it until like maybe I can sell it to someone else here, maybe elsewhere, and go and get another device. But that's about it. It's been hot and cold. My opinion on this thing has changed many times over the last like 2 months, but I think most of the time I end up settling on this. For my tastes, is too bright. It is not engaging. When I'm on the go, yes, it provides me with the basic abilities or conveniences of a portable device. I can listen to my very good IEMs. but I am not enjoying the process. And I'll end up coming with a corny tagline, but I want guys to like what they listen to. We are probably going to lose our hearing by the time we are 50, maybe 40. I am 24. So I don't want to spend the remaining couple years listening and not enjoying. I sound like a Beats ad. The holidays are coming up. I know you're thinking of presents to get for your loved ones, even for yourself. Don't get this. Get anything else. I don't believe you will gain any enjoyment from it in terms of music. If your library is as wide as mine, specifically, I don't think this performs well with my library. And I think my library is a lot more diverse than most. But I know there are many other people who, my age, have a very similar library. This might not be it. Please go and have a listen to those tracks. And if your current system can give you some form of warmth, some engagement, look for something that goes along with that, that works along those lines. This is very different. This is bright. This is not fun. It's not engaging, it's not captivating. You are just listening to music to pass time when you're listening to this. You're not listening to music for fun, for engagement. The big caveat is maybe it might change if I used it balanced. Maybe. But for now, and I don't think I ever will, in fairness, maybe I'll make an update video. But for now, through the 3.5 straight, I do not recommend this. I highly suggest you getting as the other devices. Go and have a look. Channeling up 4, channeling up 5. Hi-Fi, I think the hip decks you can get them for 130, but those are not Bluetooth, so don't get those. Those are not Bluetooth, please, don't. Go Blue. Go Blue looks like a very good, like maybe. And, you know, few BTR5 and Qdelix 5K, I believe. Those are all under like 100, 200, 300. I'm not seeing the extra $100. I'm not. With your 4 amplifiers and the latest ES DAC, I'm not seeing the extra $100 in this. Save those $100. You know, go and watch Spider-Man. You know, go and get anything else. Can you get a Magni Modi stack with some snake oil cables for $300? I believe so. Get Magni Modi with the snake oil cables, or get the Zen Hi-Fi dedicated. Yeah. It's kind of painful saying it now. Anyway, I am done. This was a bit of a rant. This is a bit of a long video as well. But I just wanted people to at least know about this because I've not seen any videos on this. The only reason I'm putting this up also is because I have not seen any videos on this, and Aune are generally loved. When you watch videos of Joshua Valor, DMS, Z, Thamabao, I believe, Thomas and Stereo, all of them talk about Aune products with so much, reverence and genuine love, and they cannot define why they love it. I can very much tell you why I don't like this, and I know you won't either. Even if your IEMs are bassy, like Blessing to Dusk, which to me is a bit bassy, but when you look at it and you follow Crane's graph, you can see it's not that crazy. But even with this guy, somehow this thing sucks the joy and the life out of this. And with P1, it's like it wants to kill you. It just wants to kill you with brightness and glare. So, highly don't recommend. Spend your money elsewhere. There will be more videos. I will most likely talk about music and you know, albums, and we can have a discourse in the comments. Please, 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 I'd super duper love that. But yes, this is the Aune, and I have been Sam Mbundo. Sumba listens, I do. And I want you to like what you listen to as well. See ya.